What you see here is the TCL R635, which is the 55-inch variant of TCL 6 series of this year, the year 2020. This TV's panel has a native resolution of UHD 4K and a native refresh rate of 120 Hz. However, despite this, none of this TV's 4 HDMI ports can process a 4K signal at even above 60 Hz. And the reason is because none of this TV's 4 HDMI ports is an HDMI 2.1 port. Hence, none of them has the requisite bandwidth to convey a signal at 4K at above 60 Hz. Hence, if you want to process a signal at the TV's native refresh rate of 120 Hz, you have to do so at a resolution of either 1440p or one below 1440p. And we're going to demonstrate that via the game Resident Evil 5. We're going to demonstrate this game running on my computer and being conveyed to the display via HDMI at 1080p, at 1440p, and then we're going to show that the TV can't process a signal at 4K at above 60 Hz. So let's go ahead and start off by opening the configuration file. So we're going to change the resolution to 1920 by 1080. Now, instead of setting the refresh rate to 120, I'm going to set it to 130 just to demonstrate to you that the TV really does top out at 120. So it'll receive the 130 Hertz signal, or the indication that the signal will be at 130 Hertz, and it will tell the computer, no, 120 Hertz is the max, and the computer will run the game at 120 Hertz at most. So let's bring this down. Yeah, let's bring this up. 130 Hertz. So let's save this. We're going to play the game.
Resident Evil 5.
So as you can see, it's pretty much stopping at 120, even though I set the maximum to 130. And I'm pretty sure my computer can render the game at above 120, but the TV's telling it not to waste its time doing so. And proof of that is the fact that it's stuck at 120. It's not fluctuating between 120 and some lower frame rate. So obviously, this frame rate of 120 frames per second is something that it can do easily, and therefore it can do even more. It can process the game at a frame rate even higher than this. So I'm going to verify the resolution and refresh rate by hitting OK on the remote. As you can see, 1080p at 120 Hertz. So let's quit the game now. Okay, so let's change the resolution to 1440p. What am I doing? Don't mind the blooming that appears, to be on the screen via the camera. It doesn't look like that in person. It's very smooth.
Resident Evil 5.
So as you can see, once again, it's running at 120 frames per second, and the fact that it's pretty much locked at that frame rate indicates that it's doing so easily, and therefore can do so, or should I say therefore can run the game at an even higher frame rate. So let's just hit OK on the remote. As you can see, 2560 by 1440 at 120 hertz. So there you go. Now let's just quit once again. So I'm going to change the configuration once more to 3840 by 2160. I should have mentioned that notice that when we changed the resolution from 1080p to 1440, that the refresh rate, as indicated in this file, was already at 120, even though we set it to 130 earlier in the video. That's because the game will pretty much alter this configuration file on the fly, and I guess once it realized that this display can't handle anything above 120, it just set it to 120. So just keep that in mind. So let me save this. As a matter of fact, yeah, let me just save this. This is fine. Now we're going to run the game. And I'm going to demonstrate to you that it can't process a 4K signal above 60 Hertz. Now it says 120, but I'm going to explain what's going on once we get into the game.
Resident Evil 5.
Now, as you can see, the game is still being rendered at 120, but if I hit OK on the remote, it says 4K 60. So the computer is running the game at 120 frames per second. Now, why is it doing that, even though it should be communicating with the TV and determining that the TV can't process a signal at 4K at a frame rate above 60 or a refresh rate above 60? The reason is because the panel is a native 120 Hertz panel. So it's not receiving information about the bandwidth of the HDMI port, it's receiving information about the panel. So it communicates to the TV says, I've got a 120 Hertz panel, and the computer says, okay, I'll throw 120 Hertz at you. But the TV can't actually display 4K at 120 Hertz. So it's downgrading it to 60 Hertz. So just keep that in mind. So in other words, if you connect, or should I say, if you convey a signal at 4K at 120 Hertz, you're still going to get a picture. But it's going to be downgraded. Now, having said that, I don't know if that would be the case with console. This is a computer. I don't know how a console would react in this situation. If a console such as the Xbox Series X or the PlayStation 5 tried to throw 120 frames per second at this screen at 4K, I don't know if it would be able to communicate and realize that it has to downgrade. But then again, I think that's done on the TV's end, so I think it would be fine. Yeah, the fact that the computer is running the game at 4K at 120 indicates that the computer isn't doing the downgrading, the TV is. So yeah, the TV can receive a 4K signal at above 60 Hertz, but it's going to downgrade it. So just keep that in mind. Now, I don't know if that's bad for the health of the TV, so to speak. Maybe that can overheat the TV, I have no idea. But my point is, when it receives a signal at 4K at a refresh rate above 60, it's just going to discard the extra frames. So just keep that in mind. So this has been a demonstration of the resolution / refresh rate capabilities of the TCL R635. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Peace out.